Good morning, friends, and happy Friday. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the last daily creative challenge of 2018 and my last stream of 2018. This has been a fun ride. We've been doing this for quite a while, many months now, I think. It all comes to an end today, but it's not the end of everything. It's just the beginning. So we have a lot going on. I'll get to that in a little bit. But today is day number 9 of the Daily Creative Challenge, where we mixed in Photoshop with XD. And hello to everyone who's joining us live on Behance. Eric, Anne, Preeti, Alex, Igor, Adobe Live, probably GusBot. He's missing from our studio today. But I do have the awesome Paco over here to my left. And we have a interesting, fun challenge for you today. We're kind of bouncing off yesterday's design, and I am trying to get to my Behance page, but it is sadly not loading for me. So I can explain what you'll see on this page, but you may not see anything right now, but let me try one more time. But if you go to behance.net/XD Daily Challenge, you'll see a lovely page, and mine's blank right now, but hopefully it's working for you. I am on the usual one. I think the page is just, half of it's loading. Half of my page is loading, the other half is not, so who knows. But, on that page, you'll be able to usually register right at the top, but in this case, because the challenge is coming to an end, you'll be able to hit that blue button and join us on Slack. And we have almost 10,000 people. I think we're about 14 people short of 10,000. And we're gonna keep the Slack going all the way through 2019 possibly. So we have a lot more challenges to come. And there's the URL right there, bit.ly/XD Slack. And make sure the X and the D are capitalized. And hello Natalia and Kim and Varun, Maj, D, all these awesome people, a lot of regulars who have been joining us since day 1 and even in past challenges. And then on the Behance page a little bit further down, you'll see some information on what you have to do, how you have to share it using that keyword XD Daily Challenge. And then even further down, you will have the actual challenges. Now, if you're having problems with the page like I am, you can always go over to Slack. And here, if I hop over to my screen, is my Slack channel. Again, it's early. 9,986 people. So let's get to 10,000. But there's an announcement section. Oh, there's 10,000 in this one. So haha. But you can find some information about today's challenge right here. So with that being said, definitely join us in Slack. That being said, this is what we're working with. This is the template that we were working with yesterday. And the challenge was to design and prototype a movie rental app for a television screen. And you can open this PSD file directly in Adobe XD. And that's kind of what we've been doing over the last 2 weeks, is we've been using Photoshop files, because what we've noticed is that a lot of Photoshop designers have been using Photoshop for so long, and they've been doing all their UI and UX work strictly in Photoshop. And what we wanted to show is not necessarily that XD can completely replace that workflow, because it's very difficult to switch completely to a different application, but that XD can fit into that workflow to provide something else that Photoshop might not be able to, like prototyping or repeat grids, responsive resize, animation, things like that. And hopefully over the last 2 weeks, you've kind of been able to see that, and you've picked up on some tips and tricks. So, and Kit is asking who's going live today. So it's gonna be me at 8:30, and then at 12 o'clock Pacific time, Talon and Kenny, who was hosting yesterday and all this week, will be live talking about XD stuff. So if you wanna stick around for that, you can do that. So what are we doing today? We're using the same template and same design as we used yesterday. If I hop over to Adobe XD, this is kind of what we worked on yesterday. And I spent a tiny little bit of time just refining the home screen, which is this one here. And what we want to do today is actually use some of the voice features in Adobe XD to simulate what it would look like to rent a movie using your voice. And if you've been watching Adobe Live for the last few months, Michael Kotchenberger was right here beside me just a few months ago. Maybe it was last month, I don't know anymore. He did something very similar. He did a TV app using voice. So yesterday we used tap and drag to simulate if you had like a remote or if you're even like touching your screen. But today we're just using voice. So how would that look? So here's my home screen. I'm gonna start with just another screen to the left. And this is simply going to be where the microphone button is going to be to kind of, you know, when you press that microphone button on your remote, everything might go away and then you'll just have a microphone, right? So I'm going to take some of these elements and simply adjust them a little bit so we can have some animation when it transitions. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna hop into the repeat grid and space this out just like this. Let me move this home page over a little bit. And let's say move this over here and decrease the opacity. I'm gonna do the same thing for this repeat grid. This will give us like a cool cascading effect when all these elements do move into the screen. And this one I'm actually going to, I'll keep it like this. I did break that repeat grid, but that's okay. There we go. And in the middle, I'm going to grab, let's say a microphone icon. Which microphone icon? By the way, for those who are going to ask, this is the Nucleo app. I believe it's nucleoapp.com. And I'll grab this microphone, drag it onto my artboard. Oh, it's so tiny. Make it a little bit bigger. Change the border and increase that. All right, we're gonna keep it super simple because we definitely want to focus on voice and not much else. All right, there we go. Beautiful microphone icon. Not very pretty, but the point of these challenges is to kind of introduce you to the template and the challenge, and then it's up to all of you to kind of expand on it from there. So we have a microphone icon, and how do we actually get this thing to work? So if we go into prototype mode, I'm gonna select the microphone icon, which is selected right now, and I have this blue handle over to the right. I'm gonna drag it over to my second artboard, which is the home screen of the Movies app. And in this case, I don't want tap, I don't want drag, I want voice. And we want to be able to tell XD what to listen out for. So this one might be, let's say, let's rent a movie, right? And we want auto animate because we want all those elements on the home screen to kind of move in. And we'll do, let's do a snap at the end and 0.4 seconds. We can always adjust that. So with that being done, all we have to do is press the desktop preview button at the top. And you'll notice if I move this down, we have this bar at the bottom. It says hold down your space bar. I don't know if you can see that. While speaking to use voice commands. So ideally, if everything works well, if I hold down space bar and say, let's rent a movie, it should transition to the next artboard. Let's try it out. Let's rent a movie. Let's rent a movie. Let's see if my microphone's not connected properly. It might not be. Input. It is. Testing. It's not picking up my voice very well. All right, let's try this one more time. But I promise you it does. This could be a fun stream if it doesn't work at all. But it does work. I've done it before. Let's rent a movie. Come on, microphone, you can do it. System issues. It's always fun. Okay, let me get closer. Maybe that's the problem. Let's rent a movie. Aha! Okay, I wasn't close enough. Silly Mac. So there we go. So I spoke to XD, held down my spacebar, everything transitioned, and now we can actually have XD speak back to us. So if I go over to my home screen, and I simply have the artboard selected and press the blue handle over to the right, this will allow me to add in a time transition, a delay of 0 seconds because I want it to take place immediately. And then Saber says, click tap, we won't tell. And then instead of auto animate, we want speech playback because after 0 seconds, we want XD to speak back to us. So here we go. Here are some movies you may enjoy. There we go. Just like that. So let's try this one more time, and you'll listen out for it after it transitions. Let's rent a movie.
Here are some movies you may enjoy.
There we go. So now we can start adding some additional voice commands. So let's say we wanted it to scroll, and this is assuming that you're only using your voice, you don't have a remote, maybe you lost it in the couch and you can't find it, so that your only option is to use your voice to navigate throughout this application. So let's duplicate this over to the right, and I'm going to just move over, let's say these artboards, so we can see more featured videos or movies. There we go. And in this case, we might want to tell the application to show me more featured movies. So we can go into, again, prototype mode. I'll select the repeat grid. And the cool thing about using voice in XD is that you can select any element. So even though I'm navigating the repeat grid for the featured movies at the top, I can technically select this Mr. Rogers image at the bottom to control that voice command. So it's kind of cool. You can select anything, even if they have an opacity of 0. So I'm gonna select this repeat grid, drag it over to this artboard. It's going to be a voice command, show me more featured movies. It'll be auto animate, and we'll have it snap into place again. And let's say maybe after this artboard, we're gonna have another one. And maybe these down here will move. These ones here, boop. Move over a little bit. Oh, there's another Mr. Rogers. I'll cut that off a bit. There we go. And that one, let's say we'll have another voice command, show me more recommended movies. And the same thing, auto animate and snap. So let's try this out. Let's try this from the beginning. Let's rent a movie. Let's rent a movie. Clearly not loud enough.
Here are some movies you may enjoy.
Show me more featured movies.
Here are some movies you may enjoy.
Oh, I didn't remove the voice command. So I can remove that, or I can tweak that, something like that. And then if I scroll down and say, show me more recommended movies. Notice at the bottom,
movies you may enjoy.
I have to remove that speech playback, but the ones at the bottom move. So there's a lot of different commands you can say, and it does look for specific words, just in case you don't repeat it exactly the way you typed it in. So let me go back and remove that voice command from, this one is good. We probably don't need a voice command on this one. So I'll just drag it and break it. Do the same thing here. So now at this point, we might want to, have Ready Player One pop up. So let's do this. We'll drag this down. And the voice command might be, let's rent Ready Player One, or show me Ready Player One, or something like that. So I'll select Ready Player One, drag it down here. And I'm just catching myself because we may run into a problem, but if we do, we will correct it. And I'll get to that problem in a second. So let's say, show me Ready Player One. All right, good. And now we're going to, let's say, animate the second artboard. So we want to adjust all this stuff. We'll move this over this way, decrease the opacity of this group. We'll do the same thing for this. We'll move it this way. There we go. And then Ready Player One will spring up here. Very similar to what we had in this artboard over here. And what we could probably do is just grab some of these elements, but we'll recreate them for now. But I will grab the text to make it easier for my life. Make this larger, paste in this text. There we go. That looks good. Bring in the Grinch and Mr. Rogers again. And let's say we'll move all of these except this one over. Great. And by the way, while I'm doing this, if you have questions about this process, and using voice is always a little bit fun and challenging. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. So there we go. We have that. Looks good. All right, let's see how this works. Again, we might run into a problem, and if we do, Chris Cannon is in the house. Hope you had you're traveling today, I think. He was right here beside me yesterday and throughout this week. So let's see how this works. Show me Ready Player One. Okay, didn't. So what I think could have happened is that because these elements on this artboard were below the scroll viewport, sometimes that disables the animation because scrolling kind of is a little bit funky, but it worked. So let's do the process one more time. Let's rent a movie.
Here are some movies you may enjoy.
Show me more featured movies. Show me more featured movies. And I can scroll down. Show me more recommended movies. Let's rent Ready Player One. There we go. So we've basically, just with our voice, we've been able to, tell the application that we want to rent a movie, show me more featured movies, show me recommended movies, and then the specific movie, all with our voice. And again, even if you don't say the exact voice line you typed into the voice command, it's okay because XD will pick up on certain keywords, and if it's close enough, it will take action. So at this point, we might want to, let's say, rent this movie. So we want to change this button. And we'll drag this over to the right. And let's go ahead and make some changes to the button. This button here, let's say we'll fill it with a nice yellow color. There we go. It should actually be below all this stuff. No, it's okay. And then this will be white. All right, and maybe the border will change to white as well. And then immediately after that, we probably want everything to kind of go black, and we'll have a little spinner going around to indicate that renting is taking place. So we'll duplicate this over, and what I can do is just grab a rectangle, drag it across my artboard like this. We'll make the fill black. Maybe we'll even have a background blur to just get really fancy. There we go. Perfect. And then we need a little bit of a spinner. Spinner. There we go. We'll grab this one, drag it into XD. Make it a little bit bigger. Pop it on my artboard and make it, let's say, a white color. Or maybe we even go the same yellow. Let's do that yellow. Yellow, orange, I don't know what color that is. Place it in the center of the artboard. Make it even bigger. This is half of what designing is. Making things bigger, making things smaller, changing things around. And then we'll have one more artboard which will allow us to actually rotate it. And then we'll wire this up and make things actually move. So if you're ever wondering how you can actually make something spin in Adobe XD, on the first artboard, you'll notice that the rotation is set to 0. So on this one here, all I have to do is set the rotation to 360. And it looks like nothing changed, but it actually did a full rotation. So when we animate this using a time trigger, it'll rotate really nicely. So if we go here, we're on this page, let's select the rent button. And we'll type in, let's rent this. All right, it'll transition. Now we probably don't need any sort of fancy auto animate transition. So I'm simply going to do a transition and we'll have it dissolve very quickly, 0.2 seconds. And then this will immediately go to this artboard. This could be a time transition, 0 seconds. We'll do another transition because we don't need animation on this one, but the next one we will. And then we will do an immediate rotation with animation. And we'll do in and out, let's say 1 second. We'll see how that looks. So here we go. Let's rent this. Fancy. All right, so once that's done, obviously at that point, the movie would probably play. So this would likely go to this artboard here. Maybe the spinner would disappear. Whoop. This would go down, and then this image would probably, assuming that this would be the movie, if I can get it. I can't select it. Hide that. And let's find that movie just for you. It was in here somewhere. There we go. Make this nice and large. And then the metadata would fade out as well. So we're gonna just assume at this moment that this large poster is the movie that would automatically play. So it would transition after the spin takes place to this artboard. Time is 0, auto animate. Let's do another, let's go in and out again. And let's say 0.8 seconds. So now that the flow is more or less finished, let's play it back from the beginning and see how things work. Let's rent a movie. Let's rent a movie.
Here are some movies you may enjoy.
Show me more featured movies. Oh, let me scroll down. Show me more recommended movies. Let's rent Ready Player One. Show me Ready Player One. Oh, there it goes. Took a second. Let's rent it. And there we go. So just with our voice, we've been able to go through this flow, basically opening up a movie app on a television, showing more featured movies, showing more recommended movies, and I probably should have grabbed these artboards and extended them down just a little bit so we can see more, but you get the idea. Showing a specific movie, pressing a rent button, having a little spinner animate around, and then the movie expands more or less full screen and plays. So that's that. I know this is gonna be a little bit more difficult to actually show and publish on Behance, but you know, it's a challenge, it's the last challenge, so we're not gonna be reviewing these live on air at any point soon. So if you can't publish it on Behance, if you don't have the ability to record your voice, don't worry about it. Maybe just, you know, have fun with it, explore a little bit, and you know, tweak some of the older challenges if you want, and we'll definitely be taking a look at those. And speaking of taking a look at challenges, let's hop over to my browser. Let me see if this works. Nope, this still doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. I do have a bunch of different challenges I want to take a look at before we wrap up for today. Daniel's asking, is it possible to place GIFs in the document? Not yet, but the team is working on video and GIF embedding within XD. So that's coming at some point, hopefully in 2019. When did the voice feature come to XD? It actually came at Adobe Max in October. It was really cool, and we've seen some pretty cool use cases for using voice in XD, including you know, using Amazon. And by the way, at some point in the future, hopefully the near future, you'll be able to actually test things like this on an Amazon Echo device, which is gonna be really cool. They should kind of show that off at Adobe Max. So I've been looking through a bunch of different challenges from over the last 2 weeks. I picked a few of them. I didn't have enough time to pick all of them, and there are just so many amazing challenges. So if I didn't get to yours, I apologize, but I tried to pick, you know, nice combination of a few. And you know, as long as you use the keyword XD Daily Challenge, we will see that and we'll be able to, you know, check them out. So let's take a look. And these are in no particular order. I just randomly went through and clicked on a few of them. So this one is from Rushy, who uploaded the movie rental website UI from yesterday's challenge. And I really like the way this is laid out. And a little bit of cascading images. Some of them are rectangular, some of them are square. Cool navigation bar on the left. Suyag is asking, does auto animate if we flip it instead of 3? Yes, so in certain situations, if you flip an object and auto animate it, it'll just flip over. But if it's already been rotated on the first artboard, and then you flip it on the second artboard, it'll actually rotate instead of flip. So it's a little bit tricky right now. That might change in the future, but that's kind of where things are. So yeah, so the little slider at the top to show off different movies, the actual movie itself. And then at the top here, he has a video. There we go. And again, for something like this, you can definitely use your voice to, navigate between the different sections, the different movies, the featured section and things like that. I think this looked really nice. And this one in specific, he was doing for, what's it called? A website UI. So there you go. Next one we have is Farnoosh, one of our regulars in our chat. And this, I believe I showcased early on, day number 2 or 3. And this was the challenge number 1 where you create an e-commerce experience. And I love the way, she laid things out. She went above and beyond. The template that we provided was very basic because we wanted to really give you something to start with. And, she really took things in different levels and added this cool drop down from the top with the different categories: lips, eyes, face, nails, accessories, so on and so forth. She added a little spinner, a lot of cool little elements. And this is what I love about these challenges is we provide something very simple. And the things I usually create in these early morning streams are not super complex, but all of you kind of take it to new levels. And I love just browsing some of these designs and seeing what all you come up with. So next we have Luiz. This is also the e-commerce experience, and it looks like it's like a BB boutique. And I love the way things are laid out here, and the animation that she created when you actually click on that little down arrow was kind of cool, and she timed it with a time transition, and you can see it kind of goes up to reveal more sizes, more colors. Then it fades away. I think that was a nice little touch. You can favorite it, and the heart kind of comes in again with time transitions. Same thing with add to cart. Really cool stuff. So good job. If you are in the chat and I am reviewing some of your work, definitely let me know. This one is from Saihemi. And it's, again, the e-commerce experience. We had a lot of people take part in that e-commerce experience. And this one stood out to me because of the slider at the top, the different sections. He used the overlay like we did in the previous challenge. I just loved the way this one was laid out. It looked really nice. And there's some images down here. Ladies on the left, men on the right. Looks good. Next we have Aaron, and this was the restaurant booking app. I believe I did touch on this when we reviewed it. And this one, I looked at it again and I thought, this looks really nice. I'm gonna show it off again. Slightly dark mode, a little bit of a blue tint to it. And then these nice little icons, a time icon, location, map, and a truck maybe for delivery. And there's just a lot of different screens on this application. And of course the voice icon, because we did touch on voice in challenge number 2, I wanna say. And he has a little bit of a video that shows a fun cascading effect coming in. There we go. And you'll notice as he enlarged that card, the mask also changed as well. It's one of my favorite features with Auto Animate is that you can adjust the mask of cards as you're animating between different states. So good stuff, Aaron. Next we have Igor, and this is one of my favorites of the travel challenge. And what he did was he actually took the images of each card, duplicated it in the background, added a bit of a background blur, which kind of fades between the 2 states, or the 3 states. And down here, there's a video showing off how exactly that looks. And I think that turned out really nice. And he did do another one that added the parallax effect in the next challenge. You can probably find that on Behance. That turned out really nice as well. Next we have Diego, who took part in challenge number 2, which again was the restaurant booking app. And so this, I love this illustration. It's a little bit different, but it looks really nice. And there's little bit of a video, and you'll notice there's a little bit of a parallax effect where the chefs kind of move at different speeds from the card in the background, which is a nice little touch. So he basically cut out those chefs, either found a transparent PNG, or he found it spoke to me. I wasn't expecting.
Check out salad.
Oh. Okay, there's voice.
Tell me more. Go back. Go back. Go back.
Cool. I didn't hear the voice last time. My audio was probably off, so that took me by surprise. But that's cool. He used the voice triggers in Adobe XD to navigate through this application, like we showed off. Which is I worked for Apple for a little bit, and the amount of people who rely on things like voice navigation to navigate the entire operating system is, it's pretty interesting. So having voice commands within an application is very beneficial to a lot of people. So next one, we have Chris Cannon, who might be still here. He might be on a plane, I'm not sure, but he put together this outer space, or called Outer Space. And I think he did a really nice job. And if you missed the streams with myself and Chris over the last few days, definitely check them out on YouTube on the Creative Cloud channel. I'm a big space freak, so this definitely spoke to me. SpaceX, NASA, Boeing. I wish it only cost $3,000 to go to the moon. I would do it every week. Good stuff, Chris. If you're still here, make sure to say hi. We have Ravin Dare. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. And this one's kind of cool. You have this line down here, which is kind of counting down until the transition. You can see it right there above destination. And the mask of the image in the background moves almost like a, oh, my mind is blanking. That guy with the effect the photography effect. You know what it is. Let me know in the chat. Ken Burns effect. That's the one. So he kind of has that going on in the background as that, the next image is loading. Cool stuff. We have Usama, who did, I loved this one mainly because of how it was laid out on Behance. I'm a sucker for a really nice looking Behance profile or project, and I think he did a great job at laying this out. There's a mock-up, it all kind of points down to this mock-up over here, and a few different screens of this design. And again, he has a little video at the top showing the different cards. I would have liked to see a little bit of auto animate instead of, I mean, it might be auto animate, but there's a little bit of a transparency thing going on there. Cool. Next, moving on, we have LittleEat, who also created a travel agency webpage. And great screens. Things are looking really nice. And then a video. Nepal, Peru. So at this point, she's going through the different, places around the world, and then it's going to scroll back all the way to the first card. And then when that one is tapped on, it kind of enlarges. And it might be difficult to see, but there's definitely a little bit of a parallax effect going on. Very subtle, which is nice. It's a nice little touch. And then back to the beginning. Good job. And Gladstein, who is, I don't believe he's here, but he does join us from time to time. This is the travel agency webpage as well. A lot of people took part in that one. That was a fun one. And that was actually a two-parter. So there's one creating the page, and then the second part, like Gladstein is doing right now, is adding some parallax effect to it. And I thought the flow of this one just looked really, really nice. And he even added several parallax effects for this. And it turned out nice. Look at those balloons. Did you see all the balloons? That one really, stuck with me. That was cool. And then he has some screenshots of the actual project down here. Next, Preeti, who I think I saw her here. This is the restaurant booking app. And I love this layout at the top using, you know, isometric or perspective mock-ups. You can use the angle plugin within XD to do something like this, or you can bring it into After Effects or Photoshop to do something very similar using smart objects. You know, screenshots down here of the actual product, tap to speak, and then there is a video. And I love the smoke animation at the beginning. All the plates kind of coming in. Some cool little elements. Dragging across the top to see the different cafes, cuisines. Those are really cool. And again, that's the kind of thing I love about these challenges is, you know, taking what we show you and what we provide and really exploring what else you can do using Adobe XD. So good job. And Susanna took part in the travel agency webpage. I love all the different screens. It looks really fresh. The colors are really nice. The buttons are not too overpowering. And it just looks like I want to go on a vacation right now. So I love the way this one is laid out. I would love to relax in the mountains. Actually, I think Paco's going to some mountains during the break. I'm jealous.
Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, Rocky Mountains. I wish I might sneak in a suitcase. Good job, Susanna. And then we have Luiz again. I think I have 2 of hers. And this was DJ Paco. Shout out to Paco. And I really liked, what stuck to me on this one is how it was rearranged from desktop to tablet to mobile. And how all these elements can still remain, but they're placed in, you know, different areas so that they're very easily readable on various devices. So I thought this looked really nice. And then finally we have Agni, who took part in the mobile chat application. Love the colors, love the very subtle gradients. A little bit of a blur, I think, or transparency going on over here. Really soft, subtle colors. And also just the presentation on Behance, these, you know, circles in the background with nice gradients that kind of match the overall aesthetic of this application. The only suggestion I would give for this one is to, you know, put some conversation, even of lorem ipsum, put something in these little bubbles, and it'll make it feel a little bit more real. So there we go. So we took a look at, you know, a few. I wanted to go over even more, but for the sake of time and my sanity, that's what we got. So if I didn't get to yours, I apologize. Make sure to you know, post it in Slack in the design feedback section. Someone will take a look at it, tweet it at Adobe XD, tweet it at me at Pinsky. And this has been fun. Someone's asking, when is the next XD Daily Challenge? Soon. Not next week, maybe not the week after, but soon. We will have many, many more challenges coming up over the next long time. I don't know what that might be, but we have a lot going on in 2019. This has been fun. Thank you to everyone who has joined us over the last many months in these challenges, watching Adobe Live. You've all been amazing. There's so many, you know, familiar faces I see all the time in the chat. So thank you so much. And thanks to everyone at Adobe for making this amazing. We have Paco over here, making sure everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. Gus Bot, the man behind Adobe Live, is usually sitting right over there, making sure all of you are, you know, doing well and operationally stuff. He runs Chat and Win, which all of you really love. Lee, Sam, Michael, Dina for, you know, making everything super smooth for our guests, for me. It's been great. I've been having a fun time hosting this, and I will definitely be back in 2019. And if you're sticking around at 12 o'clock noon Pacific time, Talon and Kenny will be back right here talking about XD. And for me, I will see you all in 2019.